Welcome back to the Greener Lawn. Today we are going to be talking about fertilizer burn and how to take care of it. Stay tuned.
MicroGreene.
When I talk about fertilizer burn, you guys probably would have thought I'd have been talking about this point right here, where I spilled some of my fertilizer. Oh, dang it. That was no good. It's the reason why we don't do this over the grass. That ain't gonna help. That's gonna burn this out. Well, we're gonna have some content for a later video with that little oops. Dang it. Tried to disperse it. So I should have listened to my own advice. I tell people to use a shop vac all the time to vacuum that up. I didn't listen to my own advice. I panicked. And there was no need to panic because it's not gonna burn until it gets wet and starts to break down. So should have vacuumed it up. Tried to disperse it with my hand. So I'm gonna have a patch here. So we'll learn how to fix that. Hopefully not in the future, but I foresee it. But that is not the case. It did, however, do something a little bit different in my lawn. As I was fertilizing my lawn, I decided to go with my Scott spreader that was old and cheap instead of going with my new Spiker spreader. Does me no good. It's not a simple. Back in the box with you. When the big guns fail you, the little ones come back in handy. Yes, this is my old trusty that I've had for a while, which was a mistake because it did this to my lawn. As you can see, that wasn't a really good move that I made. It actually caused a lot more issues than what it was worth. I should have just taken the time to put that Spiker spreader together. Is it done yet? No! Because if it would have been together, I wouldn't have had any of these issues. What happened is that it was only throwing on one side, and so it was throwing down super heavy. And so on my trim pass, for whatever reason, it extremely applied to that side. I don't know how it only did it during my trim pass, but around the whole outside of my lawn, you can see it. It's kind of developed over the last week since it's gotten a lot hotter. I've had to kick my watering up a little bit to combat it, but this has happened. Now what do I have to do to fix this? Well, so what are the steps to fixing a lawn that's been burned by fertilizer? You immediately clean up the spill before it gets wet, because if it's a dry fertilizer, it's activated by moisture. So if our soil is dry and we're not applying it to wet grass, we can get a lot of it up. Using a shop vac works extremely well. You can also do as I did, and it's not as effective, but you can move it around and disperse it by moving it back and forth. Not as good as the first method. The next thing is if it has gotten in and we didn't know about it, when we start to see it burn, what we can do is flush the soil. What we use is a surfactant. They have professional surfactants out there, or you could use the old standby dish soaps and our baby shampoos. What it will do is it will push the nitrogen that is a fast release down and through the soil as quickly as possible to get those salts out from on top of the soil and down through the soil profile. It disperses it. Yes, we will still get burn, you will see a burn, but what our hope is that we are greatly diminishing what those burns are. The last thing that I would recommend doing is going in with something that helps with the soil biology. I'm gonna be using Humic 12 to put a layer over the top of it to restart my soil biology and to give that area a jump start to healing itself. It's already has the damage, but what I'm hoping is that I can encourage my rhizomes to go ahead and shoot down and across into those burn zones and to reestablish. If it is super bad, what we want to do is give it some time after the burn has been done and then cut out those patches and actually sod or seed that area again in the future. Mine is close enough, and my rule is if it's within 6 inches, I will just go ahead and let it self-repair, because that's how it spreads with Kentucky bluegrass, is that it shoots those rhizomes and it spreads out and it fills in those areas really quickly. So because there's not any areas that are large, I'm not going to go to that extreme. I'm just going to let it fill itself in and not worry about that last step. But I am going to jumpstart it with some Humic 12. So all the technique is on this is just to paint it black. So I'm just going to come in here and put a heavy coat. So you might ask, why did I choose Humic 12? Well, this video that drops down right now will show exactly why, but because of what I saw on its patch filler capabilities, I think that it's an amazing product to use in this situation. I'm watering it in so it gets down to the soil level after I painted it on. So what is it that we can do to prevent this from happening in our lawn? Always make sure that your equipment is working properly and that it's up to the task. If it is at all failing and it is all showing signs of wear, it is either one, time to do a tune-up on it if it's possible, or two, it's time for new equipment. I knew that it was going bad. I didn't realize it was to that point. The edge guard on it had actually given me some problems in the past, but I didn't worry about it because I thought I had it fixed. And instead of having it fixed, as you can see, it caused me some issues. My lawn is really responding from the Carbonex that burned my lawn. It's nothing that my lawn won't rebound over. It's a very small trail. It's only about maybe 3-4 inches wide. Some places up to 6 inches. So I think that over time it should be able to fight its way through whatever happened. Overall though, my lawn is doing a lot better. It is coming around. I do have a couple of applications that I plan on doing here in the future to show you guys some different tricks and tips during the summer that you can do to help with stress relief and possibly some other issues that you could be dealing with at this point in time. So as far as an update on the Carbonex, this color speaks for itself. It's actually gone a pretty darn brilliant green. I really appreciate that emeraldy green that we are getting out of Carbonex. It's pretty hardcore. I really like it. It's some good stuff. I am seeing decent results even in 100-degree weather. Short of that issue with my spreader, throwing it down and giving me a line all the way around my yard, Carbonex has done an amazing job in my yard. The moral to today's story is to be proactive when we are out in our lawns doing our yard maintenance. To make sure that we're tuning up our equipment, making sure it's at peak performance. If it's having issues, that we address it and or we replace it, because this is not worth the hassle that I have to go through now. Accidents happen. All you can do is own it, fix it, and move on. There's nothing that you need to worry about. There's no need to panic. All you have to do is just move forward from it. It's kind of crazy when I think that I burnt out a part of my lawn because I actually spilled 2.5 pounds worth of nitrogen down on it, spent 25 minutes vacuuming it up, moving it around, get no burn there, but didn't know that I had left a solid trail all the way around my lawn. Those are the things that we need to be aware of because we know our equipment and we keep it properly maintained. Have you ever accidentally dropped fertilizer or spilled fertilizer or had bad faulty equipment that has caused problems in your lawn? If so, leave it in the comments below. I want to hear your guys' stories. I love them. How did you fix it? I'm Jeremy of The Greener Lawn. Let's turn our oopses back into let's make her green. That green, no. Green, green, green. That green, no, no, no. That green, no. That green, no.